Hi, Simon.
Hey, Lisa.
Today we are jumping right into answering listener questions. And I like some of these questions that we're getting. It's a little bit less about marketing and more about you and I, a little bit of marketing and our background, but people wanting to get to know us a little bit better.
All right. So what
Is that
are
a surprise?
well, it's making me nervous because I don't know what I'm going to be
No.
asked.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got a list here and I can, but there's nothing that you have to prepare for. I think
Okay.
it's you. So what was your very first marketing job and what's the one thing you learned that still sticks with you today?
Hmm. My very first marketing job was, let's think about this.
No.
I,
Is it really that
uh,
hard to think? You don't know?
well, I'm just trying to decide when I started working in marketing, but you know what?
Because you
It
kind of
was,
segued.
yeah, it was probably Sony. 1996. I was one of their first web people
You were
on the West
10.
Coast. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
10. Thank you.
Yep. Hmm.
And yeah, that was a crazy thing. They had an agency build a website for them, but then they had no one to maintain it. I
Hmm.
interviewed for that job through it was through a networking job, but I think about the fact that I basically had to learn everything there was to know about the web. And this is 1996, and the web has been around for what, 2 years or 3 years, or
Right.
and I had already been fiddling around with it a little bit. I was working before that as basically a help desk, and now I was actually working for the director of advertising at Sony. And the
Hmm.
website was really, at that point, it was brochureware. And I think some of the things that stick with me really come back to just really good design. Like, don't get too crazy,
Hmm.
and be consistent, be creating content. I don't even remember what we used to measure. It might have been even manual, like literally
I
pulling server logs to
I don't remember any
get
measuring
traffic.
back
Yeah.
then.
I
I
mean, I
don't
think there was,
remember that.
yeah. So it was really like we would launch something and we get feedback. We would maybe do some internal, like, do you like this? And
Yeah,
then,
sure.
but I think I realized, like, what I learned from that job was just that this was huge. This was a sea change, a lot like AI is now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the timing was really good for me. I spent 5 years there
Mm.
doing web marketing,
And
and
it's
they
funny,
had no
like,
names for titles. That was the other
sure.
thing, right? They
Yeah.
didn't know what to call
Yeah.
us,
Yeah, sure. Well, even I remember, all right, so go back to what my first marketing job is. And it's also, to your point, it's a little bit like squishy because my first like real job as a in my career was as a graphic designer. I was working at a studio. And so it wasn't it's like we were a service arm, and we weren't in marketing. It was making
right?
things pretty. And then from there I went into working for a software company as a designer in the marketing department. I didn't even know I was in marketing. Like, it's very funny, like looking
Right.
back now, and then I'd be creating like brochures and packaging, and I'm like, packaging I got that what they were using it for, but brochures I was like, where do these go? Who uses this? Like, I didn't even know. But I think back then I don't know if I don't even know if I started learning things about marketing or anything until even later. So I don't have anything that sticks with me then, but I do have an anecdote for the next question, which I'm going to start with, but I'm going to read it. What's the biggest marketing mistake that you've ever made or that you're willing to admit?
Okay.
And it's probably not the biggest marketing mistake, but it's just something that I remember. And it is asking for help. So I did not ask for help. And it's something that I always remember that. And it was a little bit later. I moved away from graphic design. I started doing like product marketing. I worked for Rational, got acquired by IBM. So I was working at IBM. I was doing some product marketing stuff, but then I wanted to help a friend of mine that was doing events at the company because I wanted to learn more about events. And I just I just didn't have that. Like, I wanted to, and she's like, "Yep." Talk to my manager. We're like, "Yep, you got a little bit of time to do this." And it's like I just couldn't get the work done because I had my day job to do.
Right.
And she eventually, because she's a friend of mine to this day, she's like, "I have to take this back from you." Like, she's like, I can't. Like, you're missing deadlines. You can't." And I'm like, "You're right." Like, it was just like a look in the mirror. Like, it's like I had all the best intentions, but I just couldn't do it. And so it was a little bit of like knowing what my limits were and um, learning to either say no or I need help. Like those are the
Right.
things that a lot of people, I think, they, especially earlier in your career, that you don't want to do. I have another anecdote, but I want to give you a shot.
No, I was trying to think of a specific
Hmm.
situation, but I would say in general, the biggest mistake I tend to make or and is really just it comes down to rushing. Um I we we'll build a web something
Hmm.
and page banner ad and we just don't we're such in a hurry and we're usually so web people seem to be last in line as far as the timeline goes. So the product marketing team and the
Oh.
product team can take 2 years to develop something and then they want a web page in like 2 weeks. And so we're
Hmm.
always the one, I felt, getting crunched, and we just wouldn't do our due diligence and say, hey, wait, let's read through this, let's check every link, let's go on the staging server. We would just like, we got to get this out. We got to get this out. There's a press release happening, and so we would just sort of skip QA and skip like taking that extra time. And after that happened a few times, not continuously at the same place and things, but you get into
It
a routine and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, we didn't check. Somebody didn't check all these links. We
it's
didn't.
It
Yeah.
even that happened later on, like when you and I would do
Yeah.
these big launches at Adobe, and we had, Jessica and Angie that were managing the web, and they had to they padded deadlines because they were always we can always update the web. Like
Well,
like versus print, it's kind of permanent. So, but they would pad things because they knew you're gonna get this to us late. And we have
yeah.
to send this to we had a localization team that would translate everything into like, I don't know, 60 different languages or something
That's
crazy. So it's
crazy.
like it was a lot. And
Yeah, and
yeah,
people
so
would
you're
be
right.
changing stuff. Our product marketing people would be
Pulling
like,
things in, adding
"Oh,
them
can
in.
you haven't
Yeah.
launched yet? You have 5 days. Can you change this?" We're like, "No, we have a
We have
freeze."
60 other languages. Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah.
have to test things. I know it's crazy.
So I would say
Um,
that's the thing. And then those are unfortunately very visible. Like we joke
yeah.
that no small children or animals were hurt
Hmm.
when we
Right.
launched that and we missed a
Sure.
broken link or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah.
embarrassing, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. Was going to mention the other little anecdote, and it's more of it's less about like a marketing mistake, but it was more of a, I don't know, personality flaw that was brought to my attention. Um, when I was at Adobe, because I was there for many years, I got feedback from my manager that sticks with me today, which was, Lisa, you always have opinions about something, and it's great. Like you have thoughts about stuff, and he goes, but you don't always have to say it out loud. And I'm like, that's true. It's like I'm so extroverted that I talk to think, and but he's right, and I took that with me.
well, I mean,
It's
if we're
very
going
good
to talk
advice.
about business like feedback from managers and things like that,
Yeah.
the one that sticks with me all the time, but I've really been able to turn it around, I think, a little bit. But
Hmm.
basically, it's you need to be more Roman than Greek.
Oh
And
yeah, that sounds like Blair. Who
shh,
said that?
shh, shh, shh.
That's
And she meant it with
hilarious.
all the best intentions. And really, it did
Sure.
have an impact because
Yeah.
I think it's what you really need is a diplomat, right? You need
Yeah.
someone
Hmm.
who's going to sometimes build consensus and socialize ideas and things like that. And then the other time, you just need someone to make a decision and move forward, right? And
Yeah.
you need sometimes
Exactly.
in your own managing a team or a business or a launch or whatever, you need to have a balance there. So,
Hmm.
but I appreciated that. At least I appreciated the honesty. It was a little surprising to me. I wouldn't want to work at a company that was all Roman. I also wouldn't
Right.
want to work at a company that was all Greek. So,
Right. It's true. And I
um,
think I'm on the other end of the spectrum, and I had to learn how to be a little bit more diplomatic and bringing people along, and not be just, barking orders or anything. And I never really thought that I was doing that, but I'm so direct and so opinionated about things that I think people will go like, "Oh, okay, that's what we're doing." And it's like, "No, like we should talk about it." So,
Right.
yeah, so I do think
Okay.
over time I've adjusted.
So I thought
Okay.
I thought of another thing just speaking that little
Okay.
saying.
Sure.
What is the one marketing buzzword that drives you nuts? Can you think of a
Synergy.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, unfortunately, it's like there isn't another word that like kind of epitomizes what it is, and it's more about like I might use it in the context of you need to collaborate across teams
And be
often
aligned, maybe.
and be aligned, yeah, all that stuff. And that's what, so synergy is like you're making all that stuff work, but it's just like ugh, it just sounds like gross corporate speak to me, and it is, but sometimes you have to use that word. I
I
don't like
think
it.
there was a word that I liked when I first heard it, and there's a word, and I don't like it now because I don't
What
think
is
it
it?
means anything. And it's
What is it?
reimagine.
Ew,
When
no.
Yeah, when someone says you got to reimagine that, well, what does that mean? Like, do
Yeah.
you want it to be cooler? Well, what does that mean? If you want, you know, it's like it was kind of cool at first when I think it I don't remember where I was when I first heard it, but I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. But yeah, I would say it's probably we reimagined this. It's like,
Ugh,
no, what did you really do? Like, you
no.
fixed it, you made
Anything,
it
yeah.
easier.
Anything that is like marketing speak, not marketing speak, corporate
Spin.
speak.
Yeah.
That too. But like it used to bug me. Well, another thing that bugs me, and people say this all the time, and I just have to get over it, is they talk about an ask. Oh, well, the
Oh,
ask is, and it's like, it's a request, okay? Like, ugh, I don't know. I don't like that either. And it's just more of the like corporate speak.
that is
We'll
really funny
circle
because
back. I don't have the bandwidth. I mean, I could go on and on. There's a song. All right, little sidebar promotion for a comedian musician. Jonathan Colton has a song called Ari, like regards to Ari, your brains. And it is a song about zombies. That it's a memo saying we just want to eat your brains, but the whole thing is about office speak, and it's hilarious. Like it's
okay,
like
say it again. Who is
um,
it?
Jonathan Colton,
Hmm.
Coulton, and the song is Re colon your brains.
Got it. We'll look it
Regarding
up.
your brains. So yeah, so it's like gotta wrap it up, got another meeting. Like there's all these things that I'm like, oh my God, that is the corporate world for sure. So he used to be an engineer and then quit his job, software engineer, quit his job, and then just went full-time musician. And so he's been a musician for like 20 years now.
Well, let's go
Okay,
for
back
him.
to questions.
Okay, questions.
Personal one. What's your go-to coffee order before a big brainstorm?
My go-to coffee order, no matter what,
Yeah,
is 3 shots of espresso. And in the winter, it's an Americano. And in the summer, it's 3 shots of
over
espresso
ice.
over ice, and both have a splash of almond milk.
Oh, so you taught me about that espresso over ice thing, which I really like. So I do that every now and then. I don't have a go-to. I'm different. In the morning, I have my regular coffee routine, but if it's like a treat thing,
Oh, well, treat.
oh, is
Mint
that different?
mojito.
Oh,
Phil's coffee, mint mojito, iced, creamy, and sweet, which I never drink sweet coffee, but I look at that
okay.
drink as something completely
We
independent.
have to go there when it's warmer, and we'll both order that because that sounds
It's
amazing.
delicious.
Can you get it with decaf?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do that.
All right.
All right. If you weren't in marketing, what career do you think you would have ended up in? I feel like I know what you would. There's a couple things I think you would do.
What do you think?
Well, so I know you've got interest in like electronics and stuff. Like I wonder if there's something there. But I also think of you as being like theatrical. Have you ever been in shows? I don't even know. I know your daughter
Yeah.
has.
Well,
Okay. Like I
yes.
kind of feel like something entertainment related.
I think at one point I don't have the guts for it or the guts to handle the rejection, but
Mm.
I would love to be a
Modeling.
comedian. A hand
Oh.
modeling, yes.
Yeah.
No, it took me a while, and I figured out humor is the way that I handle stress. But
Yeah,
there's a lot of great stories that come out of being funny, right? And it's
true,
my sense of humor is all based on the context of the moment.
it's true.
So, but I think I would have gone into something in theater production, possibly not
Yeah,
necessarily on stage, but
yeah, could be
um,
behind the scenes. I can see that with you.
yeah, I've mixed audio for
I was
many
just about to say
years.
that you do that as, part time,
Yeah,
if not
volunteer.
volunteer.
So,
Yeah, so that's why I think
um,
I'd see that in
yeah.
you.
So, what would you have
Well,
done?
you know what's funny? Um, all right. So back in high school, when I was contemplating, what am I going to be when I grow up? I
Hmm.
was like, am I going to go to art school or am I going to be an accountant? And the only reason why I had the accountant angle in my mind, I took accounting in school and it was easy for me. I always got straight A's with math. It was very easy for me. And back then, to me, like computers as a topic of things to go into was fairly new and it
Hmm.
sounded boring to me.
Uh,
But knowing what I know now, there's things about kind of computer science that are fascinating to me that I'm like, I wonder if I would have, because there is creative things about it too. Although that guy Jonathan Colton, he literally has another song about people saying it's creative, it's a bunch of BS. So maybe it's not. But something maybe related to math. I don't know, but I still
Interesting.
have this part of me. Like I used to say, if I don't make it as a graphic designer, I'm gonna cut hair. Like so I've thought other things. So something creative in some way, but I don't know. I feel like I dabble in a lot of things. I don't know. Do
Yeah.
you see
Actually,
something
in
in
high
me?
school, I took one of those aptitude tests and it said I should be in hotel management. I should be in the hospitality industry. And that actually is not very far from the truth as far as what I enjoy doing.
I could see
So,
that. I
yeah.
could see that.
So, I mean, I actually, out of college, I applied to work for American Airlines
Hmm.
in their flight kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
I love cooking too. So, anyway,
Mm-hmm.
travel, all
Right.
those things. But
Yeah. See, that's the thing. And here's my problem is that if it's like I have to have a role that is different enough that I'm not doing the exact same thing every time. And
exactly.
that's why I ended up moving away from accounting.
Yeah, I
I
could
thought I would get
never
bored. Yeah.
work in a factory or work in an
No,
assembly line or work the yeah.
I
I
got to be learning. So whatever that
learning and
is.
doing something different, different people you interface with, things like that.
Yep.
All right, so a couple
Let's do
other.
one more. Let's do one more. Just one
All
more.
right, one more.
Pick one.
Well, let's do one then that's more light. Let's
Mm.
stick to what's your most used app on your phone?
YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? Or maybe I think that's my number one. And then the second one is like for entertainment. I have New York Times Puzzles is a app I use. What
Yeah,
about you?
I have phases of New York Times puzzles, so I'd go through it,
Do it
and
every
I still
day.
can't imagine spending $6 a month, but that's another story.
Well,
Um,
the American Express card has a $20 credit every month. So that's literally what I use it for. I get
more
a
marketing.
$20. Yeah, I know. We talked about that before.
Uh,
What's your app? You don't even know?
it's probably
Just
Spotify.
look at your phone. Oh,
It's
really?
either Spotify or because I'll listen to music in the car and listen at home, listen on my Sonos gear.
Mm-hmm.
I it's either that or Find My because I stalk my kids. They don't
That's
all
so
live
funny.
here, so it's like, what are they doing? Are they skiing this weekend?
That's hilarious.
Are they at this particular amusement park or
Yeah.
whatever? So,
Yeah, I'm just
um,
looking at my phone now and the other ones like, there's other ones that are utilitarian and I would say those are less and actually my SMS, my text messaging is probably used pretty
I was
often.
gonna say, like, if you're thinking about
Yeah.
business apps, it's
That's
email. I
others.
have like
Yeah, I was going
six
to say
emails
email.
accounts.
I know. So there's
Calendar,
that's yeah,
calendar
that
is
too. But this is
huge.
boring. Let's talk about the non kind of business stuff. Like what is it that so Spotify for you?
Yeah,
You listen to music or podcasts or both?
both, both.
What's your favorite podcast?
Hmm. I
That's
have.
mostly marketing.
So there's a couple. There's a dad jokes one.
Oh my god, of course there is.
And sometimes it's really funny, and sometimes I'm just like, "Eh." And then there's Dad Bod. There's a
Anything dad related you've done searches
yeah,
on.
and then there's
Yeah.
a I can't remember the name of it. It's he's a griller. He's a barbecue guy, and
Hmm.
I like that just because it's sort of inspirational.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So the podcasts you listen to are more
Entertainment. That's my
yeah,
entertainment.
me too. So again, the YouTube is my entertainment, and then
Yeah.
so are podcasts. And there are it's another plug for another podcast, which is Judge John Hodgman. And as a matter of fact, oop, I hit my microphone. John Hodgman. Oh no! It started to fall. John Hodgman, and I literally have to hold it right now. John Hodgman and Jonathan Colton, who I mentioned earlier, went to Yale together. John Hodgman is the PC of I'm a Mac, I'm a PC ads in the
Oh, okay.
90s, I
Yeah,
guess
I
it was.
remember him.
Yeah, okay. So they're friends, just as an aside. So, and he's a very like he's a comedian and a writer, and he's a very dry sense of humor. And so Judge John Hodgman, it's awesome. So it's him and this he's a judge, and then he's got this bailiff that is also with him. And then people will bring to him their grievances, and it's like a husband and wife about like I don't like how he folds the laundry to whatever, like it's just like silly little things, and it's like the episode spends time where they get to know the people and understand what the grievances are, and then at the end he comes back with his what his ruling is, and he's always is first of all it's very funny, and then second of all he's very fair, all of them. It's like
Oh,
I feel like he always comes up, he doesn't like side with one person 100%, he just like he comes up with a very good solution that is happy for everyone, and it's wonderful. So
okay.
that's something
What's
that
the name
is
of
just
it
a little
again?
light. Judge John Hodgman.
All right.
He also has a column in the New York Times of the same topic. It's usually just a little short thing that people will say. Like the last one I read in the New York Times was him saying, somebody wrote in saying, my cousin plays spelling bee and they call it a panagram, but it's not spelled that way. It's spelled pangram. Make them say it correctly. So that was pretty funny. And I think, I don't know, I forget. He's probably like, let them do what they want. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, okay. Any other things? So I think that's good.
Yeah,
That was a good episode.
you get to know us a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. So this is really from tangents, maybe to tactics.
It's mostly marketing.
Yeah. Okay. Jeez. I hope that